Today we are going to be making sourdough or looking at a kind of a bread making workshop. I'm thinking about things that take their time to be made, going slow and not cutting corners and doing something really well. Before we start, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm English, it's kind of what we do. Milk goes in first. This is my special teapot. It's silver plated. My mother gave it to me. It's about 60-ish years old and it's got loose tea in it. I'm drinking Assam today. It's worthwhile taking your time, even to make a cup of tea or coffee or anything like that really, grinding your own beans. I like the process. I like having this little tray. Every single morning I get up and I make a little tray with my teapot and I enjoy it. I enjoy making it as much as I enjoy drinking it. It's in fine bone china, tastes much better out of a proper cup. Oh, that's so good. Right, I better move on. So, a while ago, I came across a book called The 3 Mile an Hour God by Kosuke Koyama. I hope I've said that right. It's a lovely book exploring the fact that Jesus, when he was on earth, he walked everywhere. He took his time. He didn't have a car, he didn't have a bike or a horse. And so his whole life moved at the speed of walking, 3 miles an hour. And he's saying that God loves us in the same way, in a 3 mile an hour way. It's a wonderful book. And I like that whole concept that God takes his time. He goes slow, he builds carefully, he builds deeply with us. And our own spirituality should reflect that we shouldn't always be in a rush, going somewhere, trying to go quick, drinking things that are instant or cooking meals that are in the microwave even. And I know that we live in a busy world, but it's important to stop from time to time, to breathe, to kind of savor the moment and to do things that take time, to not cut corners. A number of years ago, I was talking to my grandma about the old days, and I was saying to her, you know, what was it like for you when you were cooking, Grandma? How did you do things? You know, did you buy bread from the shop? And she said, what? Buy bread from the shop? No, I made it three times a week. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And she's like, yeah, I had baking days. I baked Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. And I had my own yeast and those were the baking days. And when we'd eaten it, I made some more. That was life. And I thought about this a lot and thought, gosh, I really like that. And she said, oh, it's good that I don't have to do that now. And I'm like, is it really? And I love making bread. I've been making bread for years and I enjoy the process. I enjoy making it. I enjoy watching it grow. Bread was invented thousands of years ago by the Egyptians, and I think that they accidentally discovered the process of yeast. Someone left some flour and some water in a bowl in the corner somewhere in a warm room, and it bubbled away and it created yeast. And this is my sourdough starter, and I know recently everyone's got real kind of into sourdough and making their own bread because they had a little bit more time than normal. But I've had this for a while. This is called Stanley. I love him dearly. I've been feeding him for a while. He's well over a year old now. He's my friend, and he's quite lively. I have to feed him once a week, and I kind of awakened him. And this is the process really. You know, the night before you take some of the yeast out and you add some flour to it, and it awakens it and it starts to come alive. And you can kind of see here that it's bubbling and it's lively and it's ready to be used. This is real yeast, and I've not added anything. It literally just took yeast from the air and began to be activated. The kind of yeast that people use today is this kind of easy yeast. It's kind of, I don't know what it is really. It's very quick. It speeds up the process of making bread. So literally from start to finish, 2 hours, bang, gonna have fresh bread. I don't know what, it's chemical, it's got some magic in it. I don't really know what it is, but I don't like it. I prefer the fresh stuff that I know that I've made. The thing is with sourdough is it takes time to make it. It takes about a week to make your own yeast, and then the process of making some sourdough itself is a couple of days. But if you've made the time for it, that's cool. And I like the process. And I want you to keep connecting this to our relationship with God, that that God is interested in the process with us, the journey, if you like. He's not trying to rush stuff. He's not trying to achieve things in your character or in your spirituality overnight really quickly. He builds with gold. And this process of making bread is a bit like it. And here's some that I made earlier. I always wanted to say that in front of camera. And this bread is taking its time. It's not ready. I've kneaded it. So the kneading process is stretching it out and then kind of bringing it back on itself. I might need a bit more flour there. Stretch and fold, stretch and fold. And what you're doing is developing the gluten, and that helps the bread develop its structure. And you do that for about 10 minutes, actually. You can't even rush that, 10 minutes of proper kneading. And then you leave it in your bowl to prove. And when you're doing sourdough, I have to prove my breads for about 12 hours, sometimes longer. And again, that's so alien in today's world, isn't it? I want it now, I want it now. I don't want to have to wait. And yet, the act of making bread, it reminds me of all these kind of aspects of human life that maybe we're losing, or maybe, I want to reclaim, particularly my prayer life, but all kinds of areas where if you want to do something well and you want it to last, it's worth taking your time and not rushing it and always trying to move from the next thing to the next thing, but enjoying it. And it's an artisan process where I enjoy it. It's like my tea in the morning. I enjoy doing it. I make things from scratch. And so here is a sourdough that's freshly baked. And I've got this lovely basket here, and it's a proper bread-proving basket. It's made of wicker, and you put the dough into that, and it kind of proves in that basket. I love this basket. I think it's just so beautiful. But the bread sort of goes in there, and if you can see on the loaf here, it puts lines into the bread, which is an aesthetic touch. Sourdough is magical, and the reason is it's got no added chemicals into it, and because it's grown slowly, it's better for you. It's a better carbohydrate. I think that it's probably good for people with lower gluten intolerance. I'm not going to say anything there, but it's because it's grown slowly, it's a different chemical structure. It doesn't go off. It lasts for a week, 2 weeks. It doesn't get mold on it. It's magical. And so taking your time is worth it in this context. So to close, think about your own walk with God, your own spirituality, your prayer life. Are there any areas that you are rushing right now or trying to cut corners on with God? Are you trying to get him to answer questions or do things in you that you want done yesterday? God's not like that. He goes slow. He builds with gold, and he actually wants to build things that last. And I love that about him. And I think that sourdough is a symbol for the slow movement, not just in food, but in spirituality. Remember the 3 mile an hour God. His love is 3 mile an hour, but it lasts and it lasts and it lasts. So thanks for coming. If you've enjoyed this session, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time.